All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another Wednesday evening live stream with the Shower Door Professionals. Wow, this is awesome. Pinch me. Is this really happening? I think it is. It happens every week about this time. So thanks for joining us. Great to see all of the regulars and even some of the irregulars, you got to have them too. And yeah, thanks for joining us. If you would like to join us here in the Zoom call, you can just click on the link there in the Facebook post. There's also a post on LinkedIn if that's where you're finding us. Go ahead and just click it and come on in. Join us on the call. It's going to be a special call tonight. I'm so excited to have James Aiken with us tonight. This guy, well, what can I say about this guy? You probably already know about him and the brothers and the whole Diamond Seal Systems thing. It's been around for a long time. They've been through some changes but they're always innovating, and I love these guys. We go way back. I really can't say enough good stuff about them. But finally, we've got James on. I've been after him for a while, and there's been a number of people in the group who've actually said, "Hey, man, when are you going to get this guy on?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying. He's a busy guy. It's hard to hit like a moving target, But all the stars lined up. Here we are tonight. We have him. James, thanks so much again for coming on. Really, really appreciate it, and excited to hear what you're going to share with us.
Well, it's a pleasure. It really is a pleasure. And, how's everybody doing? Everybody doing okay tonight? And you're all probably just getting off the trucks and doing your installations.
We're doing great.
Yeah. Good. Well, I don't know if you know this, but I come from the shower door industry. I started doing shower doors when I was still in high school, just out of high school. My brother started selling shower doors. He was about 4.5 years older than me. Called me up one day and said I sold a big project on La Cienega and Sunset in Los Angeles called the Park Wellington Towers. And I said, well, I don't know how to install shower doors, but I guess I'll learn. I needed the money. I was a young kid, so we installed. That's how I kind of learned. We installed a lot of shower doors and a lot of mirrors. We cut a lot of mirrors, put up a lot of mirror walls, a lot of Pullman mirrors and whatnot. And so that's kind of how I started, and I kind of got pulled into it. When I was 19, there was a couple of hotels going up in Santa Ana, California, and I just pulled over and just did a cold call. And these guys hadn't let out their shower doors yet, and we're talking about a lot of units. And so I went in there, and I was there every day talking to the super and just bugging him. And they hadn't let out the shower doors. And he's like, who is this young kid? Who is this kid? I said, well, I have my shop down the street. We can do your shower doors. We can do your mirrors. Well, one day I came back in. He had a contract sitting on his table for me. So I went back to my shop. My brother was in there. I said, you're making me your partner. I just sold you a $60,000 job. So he says, okay, you're my partner. So I went out and got my contractor's license, and it was history ever since. But we did have a downfall in the market. I think maybe Chris might know this, being in California in the late 80s and early 90s. There was a dip in the market that was pretty bad. We were the second largest commercial installation company called Rainbow Companies, and we were with a company called RGC. I remember them calling us into their office and saying, hey, we can't pay your full amount. We can only pay you 35 cents on the dollar. And that was really shocking to me that you'd think that could happen to your company, because 35 cents on the dollar doesn't even cover your cost. So it was either take it or leave it. And so we had to take it, and we had probably about $200,000 in outstanding invoices with this company. So we ended up getting maybe like $60,000, which was it was brutal. So I kind of got innovative. I kind of started using some sealers, different sealers to do add-ons to shower doors to make them so they were hydrophobic and easy to clean for my customers. We were doing cold calls on custom estates all along the coast, and hitting them up saying, hey, would you like to put this coating on? It'll make your shower door easier to clean. It'll make it so you don't have to be a slave to your shower. And so it really caught on. And we were also at the Orange County Marketplace, which was a swap meet. So we got a lot of leads out there. And so selling it out there and then doing the coatings, and thought, how do we make this stuff better? Because we're basically buying off the shelf product. So we wanted to make it our own. So we started fooling with the lab and started working with some chemists. Dr. Richard Hart was one of them. He let us actually work out of his lab, which he had a 10,000 square foot facility in Irvine. He let us actually have a couple offices there. We learned a lot from him in the coatings. And so we developed a nano-based coating that makes a 3-bridge covalent bond to the last standing oxygen atom in the substrate. And so we were doing this product, and in 2001, we got a phone call from NASA. And they said, hey, we want you guys to come up and show us your product, show us what you have. So we drove up to JPL, and we went in there, and they took pictures of us. We had to go through a security protocol.
All the screening and stuff, right?
But they did it right on the spot, They already knew us. They kind of knew who we were because they kept calling, hey, you guys coming up. So we came up, and they gave us a map and said, okay, you're going to go meet Dr. Paul. And so they gave us this map, and we get on the campus, and I'm like looking at this map and go, got to figure out where his office is. So we're on this campus, and we see all kinds of strange things going on. There was one guy way up in a tree. I mean, this guy was up about 50 feet up in a tree and with a computer. I'm like, what the hell is that guy doing, And then another guy flying by on not flying by, but cruising on a little scooter, the kind of scooters you see today. But you didn't see him back then, in 2001. And you saw some strange thing. Well, we came across the building, and the building had no windows. And I thought, how can this be, his building? There's no windows here. This is very odd. So we go in. There was no elevator. We climb up the stairs. We get up to the 3rd floor, and we get to his office. And all there was boxes just stacked to the ceiling. And I thought, geez, what is this, a storage room? And we said, hey, Dr. Paul. And he goes, hey, I'm in here. Come on in, fellas, So we go in, and we're weaving through these boxes, and we're like, well, where are you? He was under his desk. And he was fiddling with our stuff under his desk on a piece of glass. And he comes back up, bumps his elbow. Oh, and comes back up and he goes, well, I'm really amazed at what you boys have here, because we have the same technology, but ours has solids in it, like gold and trillium and different types of elements in it that our product didn't have. And he says, wow, for the retail, or what did he say? It was for the for the aerospace, but it was for the general public market. He said, this is incredible stuff. You're going to what we call a super hydrophobic surface tension angle, which was 16 dynes per centimeter, which is about a contact angle about 105. So that's where the water beads up at a very high rate. But the main thing he told us that we had, which was the jewel, that we know that nobody else has this, there's only one other company that has anything close, is that it stops corrosion. It stops oxidation. That's the biggest key for glass, is if you can stop the oxidation of glass. Just like we take antioxidants, right? We take vitamin C, we take vitamin E, we want to stop the oxidation. Just like on car paint, people wax cars, they don't want it to oxidize the paint.
Right.
So oxidation is when you have hydrogen and oxygen getting together. It causes kind of an acid release. It kind of eats at the surface. So we want to stop that oxidation. So that was the biggest key. And so this is a long-lasting product you guys developed. So being hydrophobic is one of the keys. You can make glass hydrophobic with wax, right?
Sure.
You can make glass hydrophobic with Rain-X or with any of your off-the-shelf type of products that are out there. They're all good products. They don't last as long, but they don't stop the hype. They don't stop that corrosion. And the idea is, we did a test with Lasco bathware years ago, and they did an accelerated salt and soap scum test in an accelerator, and this took about a month, and it resembled 6.7 years in the machine. It resembled that timeline. And they said they took the glass panels out of the machine, and they looked filthy. They looked absolutely corroded. They had two panels. They had one that was treated and one that wasn't. They said, these are filthy. So they went and cleaned them. Well, the one that didn't have the treatment, they couldn't get clean. The water stains were too bad on the glass, so they couldn't get it clean. So on the other one, they cleaned it, and they said, man, you could put this glass back in the box and resell it. And you could resell it. So I thought, I guess we're onto something here. So we have that test, and I can give you guys that test that shows that data. So what I'm saying there is, even if your customers let the glass go, look like garbage after so many years, you can actually get in there and just clean it down and make it look brand new again. And when you clean it, as long as you're not cleaning glass with acid, like the 550s or the acid-based cleaners and scrub-based cleaners, you're not going to hurt the coating. The thing about glass is you should never use acid on glass because you actually are opening pores of the glass and allowing for the corrosion acceleration to take place.
Whether it's treated or not, acid is never a good solution for glass.
No, and a lot of people, say, hey, man, use lemon.
Yeah, vinegar, right?
Vinegar.
Yeah.
Right? And then they go, oh, well, yeah, it looks great. But then they have to start using it more often. Then pretty soon the glass gets so smooth that you can't get into the porousness of the glass to pull out the magnesium and calcium. And it's the magnesium and calcium. See, glass is a liquid. It's not a liquid solid. It is an elastic solid, okay? Glass of years ago was a liquid solid, like in the 1800s, early 1900s was more of a liquid solid. And you know this by when you look at like ancestral homes and whatnot, where they have the glass is thicker at the bottom and thinner at the top because the molecules have moved and shifted, and because gravity has dropped those molecules down, so the glass is thick at the bottom and top. Well, glass is no longer a liquid solid. They call it an elastic solid. Very stable. Okay, glass is very stable, but it's elastic, so it can flex without breaking, which is a tremendous thing for glass. One thing about glass is that annealed glass has a stronger surface structure than tempered glass. Tempered glass is very soft, and that's why tempered glass, being in a bathroom, can corrode a lot faster without some type of protection on it. Glass is 73% silicous. The rest of it is magnesium and calcium and a little bit of iron. And iron is what gives glass that greenish hue. So that's why people you might order, if they go with the thicker glass, the greener the hue. If you go with like 3/8 or half-inch glass, you might say, hey, I want Starfire or I want whitewater glass. And they take the iron out as much as they can. And now you have a much more clear piece of glass. People that have really nice tile or nice granite or whatever they're putting in the shower, and they really want to show that off. They don't want the shower.
What I tell them.
What's that?
That's what I tell them.
Well, yeah,
it's better glass, right?
Right. It's going to be a little more expensive for them.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know how much it is now, but I remember it being pretty darn expensive. Like, I don't know. It was $18 a square foot or $24 a square foot. It was crazy.
Yeah. I usually tell people it'll add about 25% to the total cost of your enclosure.
Do you get a lot of people ordering Starfire?
Oh, yeah. Here we saw a lot of it here in beautiful Santa Cruz, California.
Yeah, I had a job close up to your way that we did glass restoration as well. I mean, we were the glass guys. I mean, we did glass restoration. We were using the Cody's product, Glass Renew. Great guy, great family, great product. And we used that up in Brentwood on a house. And this house had all Starfire glass. And all the glass, all the windows were completely, Starfire is very soft, very soft. So all this glass was just scratched to hell. So we went up there and took all the scratches out of the glass and coated it. And I think this job ended up being somewhere around 80 grand to restore all that glass. That was crazy. But anyway, do you guys use Starfire, and you get other guys use Starfire glass at all? Yeah. And I know that you used to have a different name for it called Whitewater. I don't know if Whitewater is still a name for the low iron.
Opti White.
Okay.
Oh, Opti White. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I use Ultra Clear.
Ultra Clear. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, the glass has got those things in it, but glass also has magnesium and calcium, and that's the bad thing. The magnesium and calcium is also in water, right? So oxidation begins when you have like molecules or like chemicals wanting to embrace each other. So you have the magnesium and you have the calcium drawing from the glass because the water is a hard water. It can happen faster with a hard water, but it can still happen even if you have a water softener or water purification system, because it really doesn't matter the quantity because you're putting a lot of water on the glass anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're still going to get a lot of magnesium and calcium on the glass. So these guys want to bond to each other. So the pH level goes down, an acid starts to create, and you start getting little tiny riverbeds in the glass that etch the glass. And then what do you want to do? You want to go in there and you want to scrub that glass with some type of acid-based cleaner or some kind of scrubbing agent. It's not good. So when we put a product like ours on, okay, and it makes a 3-bridge covalent. 3-bridge covalent means that we're sharing positively charged ions in the atom, okay? And we're sharing all 3, okay, with the oxygen atom. But one of the key factors in making this product work, or any product work for any extended period of time, is using an isopropyl alcohol with water. Okay, if you're using a spray away, which is a great product, or you're using Windex or something like this has distillates in it. It could have petroleum in it, and it doesn't clear out the silica dust from the factory or any petroleum from fingerprints and whatnot. To get that glass pristine and ready for application, it's best to use isopropyl alcohol blend 50-50 with purified water. And that'll get that glass pristine and ready for the application. And that way you can get the carbon atoms to the last standing oxygen atom, making that 3-bridge covalent bond for a long-lasting protection against corrosion. You do get hydrophobicity of, like I said, 104, so that's where the water beads up at a high rate. But we do another product on top of that as kind of a superficial that lasts about 2 years to create a more hydrophobicity and also create an anti-static effect on the glass. If you can make glass has static in it, just like plastic. Glass is closely related to plastic. It has a static charge in it. So do window screens. They have a high static charge.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you put and so do mirrors. Oh my God, mirrors are like the worst.
Yep.
But if you put an anti-static top coat that keeps that hydrophobicity and also helps it go through transit without scratching the glass, that's what the liquid diamonds does. And that goes on top of the Diamond-Eyes XP. So you're getting something that's not only super hydrophobic, 16 dynes per centimeter or 105 contact angle, you're also getting something that's anti-corrosive. These other products aren't anti-corrosive unless they're built in the slump stage. And there's only one product that's built in the slump stage. Okay, and that's doing ion beam, and that's a very expensive product. I believe it's Guardians. It's a great product, and it can do that, but it's it's a little pricey. But all these products are great. They all do the hydrophobicity thing, but we want to go a little further. We want something that's going to last a long time. Even in like an apartment where people don't take care of their shower doors, or a rental, high-end rental unit. You've got these 3/8 or 1/2-inch glass doors. You got these buttress panels, notches. You got the butterfly hinges. You got the no top headers, the daylight corner, and all this. These people are spending $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 for their shower door.
Mm-hmm.
And they got these people going in and renting it. They're not cleaning it, or they're cleaning it with acid, some kind of scrubbing agent. you can go in there and clean it with our product and make it look brand spanking new. And that's all data tested, okay? We have hard rating testing. We have all independent laboratory testing. I haven't seen, and we have 2 patents. I don't think anybody else has all those things. We don't, you know, I was just thinking of this. I saw something from Keith Dobman the other day, you know, how he's going to be at the glass show. And those guys are terrific. They're always at the glass shows. I don't do the glass shows anymore. I don't have the capacity. I'm thinking, man, we got to do the glass show, man. You know, we used to do the NCA, the AGA. We used to do the golf tournaments and all that stuff. I think we've got a little lax, but got a lot of clients, you know, using our products. But, you know, one of the posts I saw didn't mention our product. I'm thinking, well, I'm glad I'm here with Chris, you know, because, you know, it all started with us getting into NASA. When we got into NASA, we also learned about titanium dioxide, which is the newest technology that actually can change the world in regards to a carbon footprint. Titanium dioxide is a photocatalyst. And if you look at this book right here, which I read the whole thing, okay, this is a photocatalyst. What it does, it decomposes organic material. You can put this on glass and make it hydrophilic. Okay, so we put this on curtain wall or exterior glass.
That's like the self-cleaning glass, right?
Exactly. Now, here's the difference. The self-cleaning glass, those molecules are put in the slump stage of the manufacturing of glass. The molecules aren't that active. You need to put it on the surface of the glass. And that way, because what activates these molecules is sunlight. UVA and UVB sunlight hyperactivate these molecules, goes to a 6-7H hard rating, so it stays on the glass for a very long time and makes it hydrophilic, and that's where the water just sheets. It just sheets off the glass. Instead of beating down the glass, it sheets down the glass. But here's something very interesting about photocatalytic technology with titanium dioxide. It converts carbon dioxide to carbon monoxide, which in turn feeds trees, which creates more oxygen, and it eats up carbon. Okay, they're spraying this stuff on freeway walls in Japan. Okay, so carbon footprints are reduced. I was thinking of telling Elon, you know, at SpaceX, I said, man, because I think he was giving out some kind of award to somebody that can figure out how to stop the whole carbon footprint thing. And it's right there. That's the most abundant molecule in the universe is titanium dioxide, TiO2. It's called the God molecule. And if you ever get a chance to read about it, it'll blow your mind. You can put this product in an aquarium. Just drop it into an aquarium and you get no scum buildup in an aquarium because it decomposes all that organic material. Wow. Keeps it nice and clean. So I'm getting off track. I got a lot of science in this brain.
Right on.
Yeah, we have nanosphere technology too, but I'm not going to talk to you about that. That'll freak you out. That was big with COVID. It's a zero VOC, which means it's a non-chemical, and it's a mechanical kill that kills germs and viruses by imploding the mucous membrane. You know, people that have allergies, they say, I'm allergic to cats. Well, you're not allergic to the cat. You're not allergic to cat hair or fur. You're allergic to the protein that the cat licks onto his hair. Okay, and those proteins have a mucous membrane around them. So with nanosphere technology, it electrifies it and implodes that mucous membrane, and now you're not allergic anymore. So that's a whole nother technology that we're into. But as far as glass, do you have any questions so far about nanotechnology? And I can tell you a little more about how nanotechnology got its name. It got its name out of Silicon Valley, up by you, Chris. And nanotechnology was basically formulated when they made semiconductors. And it really pertains to the solids in the periodic table. So it has nothing to do with liquids. Did you know that food coloring is nanotechnology?
Did not know that.
Yeah, food coloring is nanotechnology.
Food coloring.
Yeah, so food coloring is nanotechnology. So there's a lot of liquids out there that are nanosized particles, which is 1/billionth the size of a meter. So 1/billionth the size of a meter is considered nanotechnology. But does anybody have any questions on anything? I know I'm kind of running through it here.
That's great. You're right on track. It's been about 25 minutes, so perfectly timed. I know there's got to be some questions out
tell you
there.
some funny stories about some estimates I went out on.
I love funny stories.
Oh my God, I can tell you one. I went out to this guy in Costa Mesa to give an estimate on a shower door. And nice guy walked me in the house. I went and looked at the shower door, measured it all up, drew it all out real nice and detailed with my ruler and boom, boom, boom. And he goes, that looks great. But before I could give him a price, the doorbell rang. And I'm thinking, okay, great. I'm thinking it's another shower door company coming to give him a bid. And I'm thinking, oh, great. But no, some girl came in, really pretty face. She came in and she's talking to him and she goes off to the bathroom. So I'm thinking she's, a shower door salesperson, And he comes out to me and says, hey, listen, do you mind if she does her act in front of you? He says, I run a talent agency. Do you mind if she doesn't act? That's fine. This girl comes out and does a full strip show. I mean, strips down completely naked in front of me. I'm there to sell a shower door. I wasn't there for, a full strip down show. So needless to say, the guy felt guilty and he did buy the shower door. But I've got a lot of stories. We did a lot of estimates. So that's just one of my funny stories.
Nice. No extra charge for the strip show.
I've been there before.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a quick question for you if you got a second.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So the person applying the coating or whatever how do you protect them, or do you have to protect them from scents, chemicals, like a mask, ventilation? What does that entail?
That's a very, very good question. There are certain products out there that have hydrochloric acid in them, and you don't want to breathe that because it eliminates the oxygen in the immediate environment. Ours does not have hydrochloric acid in it. Ours does have an acid base. If you're in a well-ventilated area, you're going to be fine. You should wear a mask if you're doing a lot of applications. And you should wear gloves if you have a lot of applications. The nitrile gloves are fine. When we set you up, you get all these things. And if you're doing it outside, we don't want you to do it in direct sunlight because it'll go to a 1 second cure time as opposed to a 3 second cure time. And there is a big difference in that. But you need to be in a well-vented area, especially if you're sensitive or doing a lot of panel. But if you're just doing a few panels here and there and you're doing them in the shop, it's well ventilated, or even out in the field, you're going to be fine. There's nothing in there that's going to harm you. But people are sensitive to alcohol, right? Isopropyl alcohol is kind of nasty. If you're using a lot of isopropyl alcohol, it dries out the mucous membranes around your eyes. So your eyes will start to turn red and get a little dry. And then your mucous membranes, your passages will start to get a little dry. So these are people that are more sensitive to these things. I have people that don't use anything and don't complain about nothing. And then I have other people that say, hey man, I have to use a mask with this. So you can use, we do recommend a mask. It's in our instructions that you do, and that protects us and it protects you. But that's a very good question. We do recommend it.
Nice. Hey, there's a question in the chat asking if you could explain how Guardian is able to manufacture quote unquote poreless glass. Can you explain that?
I can a little bit. I know a little bit about it. It's an ion beam that is shot onto the glass in the slump stage of the glass. So picture this. You got a birthday cake, right? And you're putting on the frosting. Okay, and when you put on the frosting, you got these frosting little hills and valleys, right? Well, instead of doing the hills and valleys, you take an ion beam or an ion knife and you go across, and you just go across smoothly across the top, and now you have a poreless surface. I don't like a poreless surface because this is what happens to surfaces after they become worn. They become poreless. Glass needs to breathe, just like granite. Granite is a living and breathing stone. So glass, in my opinion, needs to have its porosity. We put in our carbon base in there, but what we're doing is we're doing it naturally because we're bonding to oxygen. And when we bond to oxygen, we're bonding carbon atoms to oxygen, they automatically bond to each other. And the way ours is, the way the elements are put together is that you get the electrons, okay? You have 3 electrons in both and they're bonding to each other. Or you get a double-double bond, what we call a double-double bond, which is kind of like this, or you get a 3-bridge bond, which is like this. Okay, so sometimes it'll be a double-double, or it'll be a 3-bridge bond, covalent or chemical. Some people call it a chemical bond. But Guardian is a good product in the fact that the glass won't corrode. But as far as keeping it clean, I don't think there's an advantage there, but I just don't know enough about it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Christina.
Who else? Anybody got a question?
I can tell you how to take care of old glass that has hard water damage on it, if you like. We have how glass reacts to water. This tells you exactly how glass reacts to water, and why the water can make the glass corrode. When we go in and we have a shower door that has hard water stains and corrosion that is very, like, you know, so bad that, you know, they can't get out the hard water stains. As long as the glass hasn't been acid washed over and over again, we can get that glass looking really good. Because when you acid wash glass, you're going beyond stage 1 and stage 2 corrosion. You're going into stage 3 corrosion. Now you need to get your serum oxides, you got to get your sander, and you got to get in there and sand the glass down and basically make glass porous again, open up the pores again of the glass, and then put the coating on. Hopefully you don't get to that stage. If you get to stage 2 corrosion, we have a product called Diamond Luster that actually bonds to that magnesium and calcium that we talked about. It's a wheat crackle. And when you put that on, kind of scrub it in. It's a little scrubby pad you scrub it in with. And let it sit for about 4 or 5 minutes, and it'll draw out that magnesium calcium.
Oh, my mute's on.
What's that? Is there a question? I didn't hear that.
I think I might have just spent some background noise.
So when you do that, when you leave that on, and then you can just wash it off with water, that glass will come pristine. And there's many videos. There was a video done by Hannah's Happy Home where she picked up the product and advertised it on the internet with her podcast that she does. And she couldn't believe how clean she got her glass. But that's what it does. It goes in there, and it's non-invasive. There's no acid in it. There's a little bit of ammonia in it. And it bonds to the calcium and the magnesium and draws it from the glass. And then when you wash the glass down, presto, it looks like it's brand new. Unless that glass has been acid washed, that glass is going to look brand new. Okay. If you're using acid-based cleaners, and we all know which ones those are, those scrubbing agents, you know, you're going to break it down. You're going to break down that glass, you break down that tile, and eventually those surfaces are going to look dull. And you're going to say, how did this happen? Well, most likely the maid did it, right? They want to blame the maid.
Yeah,
but,
maid did it.
Yeah, but you know, there's a lot of cleaners out there. I mean, that's the way we used to clean back in the 60s and 70s. You know, we used the harsh cleaners. You know?
Get a bigger hammer, you know?
It's crazy. So now we use science. And we know the molecules. We know it bonds to molecules. We want to pull out the magnesium and calcium. Those are the bad guys. We can make that glass brand new, and then we can seal the glass. And we have kits for retail grade kits that people can use to do that kind of thing. But I'm not here to sell you. I'm just here to tell you the science on it, and let you know that we've been doing this longer than anybody, except UNELCO. UNELCO's been doing it a long time. Great people over there. They don't have our science, but they have some good products over there. You know, there's another company with a similar name, but I think they're French because they have no D at the end of their name. You know, there's a few decent companies out there that do different types of applications. But like I said before, anybody can make glass hydrophobic, and you go, wow, look at the water beat up on the glass. There was a video that we did not too long ago. I don't know if you saw it, Chris, where we did a glass table and we used a little pin and we moved the water.
I did see that. That was pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, and then we blew on it and the water just blew right off the table. So not only are we going to the highest contact angle of anybody else, we're also going to an anti-corrosive state. So our molecules have been known to be on the glass for up to 20 years. 20 years. Here's a big key though. If you get a customer that you think might just screw everything up, we tell them to use our diamond blue wash on the surface. The blue product, anti-static, zero VOC, eco-friendly product. What this has in it is about 2% of our liquid diamond. So it's kind of like retreading the tires you go down the road. That customer's never going to have a problem. They're never going to call you back and say they have an issue. The only time they have an issue is when their maid goes in there and uses those scrubbing agents and those cleansers and screws up the coating. The original coating, very, very difficult to remove. You never have to recoat the Diamondize XP, okay? But it can be reinstated in a sense by cleaning it properly and then putting a little liquid diamond on. Then you can go back to that 20-year expansion on the protection.
Hey, Michael, what's your question about corrosion?
All right, so you're pretty much the only person I've ever heard mention corrosion in glass in the same sentence, right? And so when we're talking to the customer, it's going to be likely the same thing. So what about a shower door? Is it just the environment is it in? Is it the water? Is it the hot water? Is it the soap? Is like what causes corrosion more so in a shower door than like a glass top? Because you could put a glass top on your dining room table and the thing doesn't corrode. So what about a shower door in that environment is causing that corrosion, that expedites that corrosion?
Well, in a shower, you have water, right? And you also have steam, you know. So when you have hot showers and things like that, it kind of opens the pores of the glass. We're talking about glass that doesn't have a protective coating on. And then, like I said, glass has calcium and magnesium, 73% silicas, the rest of it magnesium, calcium, little iron, and a few other elements. So that magnesium and the calcium that's in the glass bonds to the magnesium and calcium in the water, okay? And the pH level goes down, which makes it acid, okay? pH goes down, that becomes an acid based on the atomic level in the substrate. And so it starts to etch the glass. So this is what happens. Your glass starts to corrode. Your glass starts to corrode immediately after it's manufactured because there's hydrogen on everything. You have hydrogen on your skin. Any surface has water molecules or some kind of hydrogen on it. So that's why we take, like I said, that's why we have antioxidants. We take antioxidants and that's why people put wax on their cars, because you need to separate hydrogen, okay, water from oxygen. If you can put a barrier between hydrogen and oxygen, guess what? Never, ever have corrosion. Never. You never have oxidation.
So generally, minerals in the water are what kind of reacts with the glass, mostly with the glass.
Correct. And
so is it hot water, soft water, all water?
All water, all water. Even if you have soft water or a water purification system, even if you have 3% minerals, it's still going to happen. You know, if you have hard water, it's just going to accelerate a little faster. You know, if you live out in the desert and you've got well water or whatnot, it's going to accelerate a little faster. So I just tell a customer that this is something you need. You know, you're spending a lot of money on a shower door. It's going to last a long time. Even if you let it go to hell in a handbasket, 5 years down the line, you can make the glass look brand new again with just a little elbow grease with the luster without damaging the coating. And it reinstates the hydrophobicity and you're good to go. So we've been doing this a long time, and we're some big time players, and we can't have a flawed system. We've kind of overbuilt it by handing Mrs. Jones the diamond blue wash. You hand Mrs. Jones the diamond blue wash, she's going to use this on her granite, on her wood cabinets. It's anti-static. She can use it on her windows, her pool tile. This is a fantastic product. And this product, we allow you to, what we do, a co-labeling. You can put your logo on here if you wanted to, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
That makes you kind of a guru. It's not a private label, it's a co-label. So that's kind of cool. So you put your name on that.
I have a customer who comes and buys a gallon of that stuff from me like every, I don't know, 6 months or so. She shows up, she wants another gallon of it. So
Yeah.
it's like, so we keep some gallons in stock. It's a great product.
Yeah. Yeah. We have another product for cars called Monster, which on your plastic on your car, if it looks like it's just completely dead, you can bring it back to life. It actually bleeds into the plastic. Most of the stuff that people try to make their plastic come back is just a surface coating that they're putting on. Our stuff actually goes into the plastic and becomes it holds in the plastic for about 6 months or possibly a year. It just depends on the conditions, you know.
Send me a bottle of that stuff.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
All right.
Yeah.
Man. Okay.
Yeah. And the titanium dioxide, that stuff's crazy for your curtain wall or your storefront glass. And now that product takes about 10 days to become active. I did a guy's windscreen years ago with it. And I said, listen, you're gonna have to let this harden for 10 days and don't water it down. Just leave the glass alone. The sun will beat on it and it'll harden to a 7H hard rating, and then it becomes hydrophilic. It takes a little time. So he calls me up a few days later and says, my glass looks like shit. It looks like, horrible. Strip this stuff off. I don't want it on my glass. I said, Mr. Jones, I said, you got to leave it on the glass for 10 days. Call me back in 10 days. Or just in 10 days, just hit it with a hose, and all that excess material that turned to chalk will come right off. All the bird droppings, all the tree sap will come right off. Just hit it with a hose. The guy called me back 10 days later and said, my God, the glass just became completely clean again. I said, yeah, and all you did was hit it with a hose. Yeah.
Wow.
And that's titanium dioxide.
Talk a little bit about the thing with the football helmets that you were telling me about before we started. That was really interesting.
Well, with the football helmets, we just got clearance through Clemson. Clemson, their whole science division is picking this up to do a helmet-to-helmet concussion test with the helmets. The original test that we did was about 3 years ago with Abilene Independent Labs. I figured in our lab that we have, we were going to be about a 5% rotational friction reduction. We went to 25% rotational friction reduction, which is actually higher than any padding you can put in a helmet. So for the last 6 and 7 years, USC has been using it, UCLA, no helmet-to-helmet concussions have been reported. So it's tremendous. Now we're trying to get it in Clemson's labs. We've been cleared for that. So now it's going to go through their lab testing. We have probably about 30% of the NFL is using it now. We have a lot of collegiates that are using it, a lot of high schools that are using it, but it just doesn't have national exposure. So I think through Clemson doing their testing and validating everything, the NFL will do it through their labs. And then maybe the next couple of years, you'll hear a lot more about helmet.
Well, yeah. And not to mention this podcast, because like this reaches like dozens of people every week, so it's like, you're going to just be out there. But no, so back up a little bit. So now you're talking about Diamond Seal, right? On football helmets?
It's called Helmet Glide. It's a version of Diamond Seal. It's made for polycarbonate. Okay,
so it's made polycarbonate. Okay.
Yeah, so it's made to bond to the poly helmet, and it creates a super hydrophobic surface, and it also makes a super slick surface, and it also doesn't translate into your hands. This is Aaron Rodgers had said something about that with our product through Green Bay when he was at Green Bay. He said, I don't want that shit on my helmet. I don't want it to get on my hands. It'll make the football too slippery, So, we had to say, hey, it doesn't do that. You can touch your helmet. It doesn't come off on your hands, So they ended up picking it up like a year or two later.
So, yeah. And then just assume like that I'm not very smart. I know it's a stretch, but like, imagine I'm not very smart and I'm listening to you. So explain what's happening here. So it's making the helmets so that when they collide, they don't, it's reducing the friction, right?
Right. It's kinetic energy. So what we want to do is we want to redirect the energy. So if we can redirect the energy over the shell of the helmet, it doesn't penetrate direct through the helmet, into the padding of the skull. We're not making claims that it's not going to be concussion proof. We can't make those claims because we don't want those liabilities. We're going to let the NFL make those claims once they do their testing. But what we're saying is that we've seen no helmet-to-helmet concussions with this product. That's what we've seen. So if we can actually take the energy, when you have, because nobody hits perfectly direct on, because you're talking about a spherical, helmet. So what happens is when you hit, there is a gliding or sliding effect regardless. And if you can make that surface on a nanoscale, you can actually take the porosity out of the equation, then you're actually reducing the rotational friction by 25%. So, and that's where we're at right now. We're at 25%, which is tremendous. So we have other labs that are picking it up to do the data testing. It takes a long time. We've been doing helmet glide now for about 7 years. Kevin McLean, who was the second string quarterback to Rodney Peete at USC, is running our campaign. He works for us. He's a second string quarterback at USC. So he got us into USC, got us into UCLA, and got us into Cal, a few other schools that did some actual, field play with it, and actually reported some tremendous reports back to us in regards to how it made players safer.
That's awesome. I know that's a big deal in football. There's concussions and anything that can be done to reduce that's like huge.
Yeah, we're having actually baseball teams are looking at us now, and lacrosse. I think lacrosse and and motorcycle helmets and things like that are looking at us now. Hockey. You say hockey? Yeah, Spencer's over here. Yeah,
hockey has spherical helmets and pucks and stuff.
Yeah. You also have teeth. I hate to take
teeth.
Maybe we
coat teeth.
Yeah, we got a coating.
Not a lot of teeth, but there's a few.
A few of the original ones, right? They're all capped, and I don't know how many freaking, what are they called? Oh my God. Not fillings. You go out and you get a root canal.
Oh, yeah.
I've had at least 5 root canals. It's all that candy I ate when I was a kid, You always
need to develop something for the teeth, some like diamond seal teeth stuff,
Exactly. Yeah.
It was like, now the diamond seal, does it make the surface of the glass harder?
That is a myth. That is kind of a myth. What it does, it changes the deflection ratio. Okay. So when you see a guy doing a BB test and he's shooting it at a car at this angle, and he says, "Oh, look, the window cracked." And then you go, "Now we coated it. Look at where he's standing now."
Right.
Standing over here.
I see where you're going with that.
So it's a deflection ratio is reduced by the angle of contact. Okay. If you use our coating and the way our coating works, and you use the 2-part system, the deflection ratio is shrunk. It's shrunk. So it's less likely to crack or break.
Got it.
So as far as making the surface harder, in reference to deflection ratio, you can say yes. But in regards to actually making the substrate harder, no. That would be
in a sense.
Yeah, a resin could make it harder.
Okay.
It's 2 different animals, really. It really is 2 different animals. Yeah.
Thanks for your honesty. I appreciate that. Hey, Robert has a question for you. What's up, Robert?
Hey guys. So you may have, I actually have 2. You may have answered this question in the beginning. I didn't hear it, but you mentioned isopropyl alcohol 50-50 with water. Is there a difference using denatured alcohol, because we use that a lot here?
Good question. Denatured alcohol is a carcinogen. So I wouldn't recommend denatured alcohol. I know they have it on the marketplace. I know it's out there, but in volume, it is considered carcinogen. So I would not go with a denatured alcohol. Painters use it, but painters don't care. They deal with all kinds of fumes. But through our data and through what we've been exposed to, we were told that it was a carcinogen. So we don't go with that. We need something, and it also leaves a wet environment. So what we want to do is create a dry environment. We want to pull out the silica dust that you get from the factory. We want to pull out mainly the petroleums from fingerprints and any kind of petroleums in the air, because these will block the application. And then taking off any other contaminants, microcontaminants, nanocontaminants that might be in the surface. Exposing that last standing oxygen atom. You can't eliminate that last standing oxygen atom from glass. It's a part of the glass, okay? So glass has these pores, right? Here's my bent finger from all this years of football right there. It's all big. Anyway, so you have this pore structure. You got a surface structure of glass, and then you have the main meat of the glass. And down here, when you use the isopropyl alcohol, okay, we call it diamond prep, okay? We make it ourselves, and you can make it yourself. You can buy from us or make it yourself. So we blow out all the contaminants that are in here, and we attach that last standing oxygen atom with a carbon atom, and they crystallize, and they share that electron, that 3-bridge electron, and then they build to the surface, creating an actual sealed surface. So that's how that works. And then if you want, you can put the liquid diamonds on top, you get an anti-static, and it's kind of a superficial coating that'll last through transit and last for a couple of years on its own. That's a fantastic product too. It's got 7 different size molecules in it. Think of it this way. If you take a funnel and you take 7 different size marbles in a funnel, and you shake it, what's going to happen?
The little marbles are going to go through first.
Right. So the little marbles are going to fill in all the little nooks and crannies, right? And the bigger marbles are going to fill the bigger parts. And so you really have, are you closing out any oxygen and any hydrogen out of the surface? So that's that barrier that we talked about that eliminates the hydrogen or the water from the oxygen. When you put a barrier between those two suckers, can you turn the light back on? When you put a barrier between those two guys, you don't have oxidation.
Cool.
That's the whole name of the game. So, but you have to understand, for us to build this line and to go through everything we've gone through to build this line, you have to understand the substrate first. You can't just guess. You can't just say, I'm gonna make a product to go on glass and it'll be hydrophobic and, you know, look at it. Wow, it looks great. You have to understand the chemical makeup of glass if you're going to have something work for a long lasting time and continue to work without degrading the glass, without degrading the glass. Glass degrades. It just does, just like everything does. We do. We die through oxidation.
The second law of thermodynamics.
Okay, you're going above my head there.
Oh no, come on. So did you have one more, Robert?
Just real quick. So we use Diamond Fusion, and we've been using them for a while. So in comparison to what your product is.
Diamond Fusion is a vapor product. We had that product back in the 90s. We stepped out of that because of the hydrochloric acid. It was just too much of a risk for us, so we stepped away from it. They kind of picked up that technology and ran with it. The issue there for me is, you know, it's a good product. I don't sell apparatus, I sell liquid technology. So that's one of the biggest things. But the thing about glass, okay, when you spray a product on glass or you vaporize something on glass, you're not breaking that hydrogen barrier. You need to compress the product into the glass. So we have a trowel, okay? You put the Diamond-Eyes XP on the trowel. And then what you do is you press it into the glass. And that compression guarantees full bonding application. To get a full bond application, and if you don't prep it properly, you have an issue there. Time-wise, you still have to clean the glass, put it on the rack, put it in the machine, take it out, clean it off. I think there's a lot more mechanics in that. I think in some applications, you know, people are doing high volume. This is probably a great application for them, right? Because they don't want to touch the glass. Diamond Fusion has a good product, but I just think ours has much more durability and a longer lasting product. I have actually gone out and had to fix products that other companies have done on projects because the product did not go, you know, it didn't seal completely on the substrate. And this can happen with any kind of product. It's really up to the applicator, you know. So whoever's running the machine, whoever's doing the application. I mean, we have to follow guidelines and make sure we're doing it right to get the application. But for me, our product is a lot less expensive. I haven't raised my prices since 2010. I come from the glass industry. I know how profits, are in the glass industry. The funny thing about the glass and shower door industry is glass breaks. That's a motto. It breaks. So when it breaks, you lose profit. So adding this on, and this is what kept us in business, was developing Diamond Seal. Kept us in business. So we have our heart in it, But I have nothing bad to say about those other products. I just feel, of course, my product is better. I mean, we were invited to NASA and they told us that it was. So
They're all good, it's just mine's just the best. Okay, so Michael has one more question here as we're wrapping it up. What is it, Michael?
Do you mask off the areas where the hinges are going or the pivots, or does it cause it to be slippery, or do you just mask right over it?
No.
Okay.
No. Some companies had done that in the past, and through our testing and through our feedback from our dealers, there hasn't been a problem. You're going through the coating when you're clamping down. You're putting that the little black grommet in there, and then you're tightening down. You shouldn't have that problem. I have some people that do, some people that don't, but I haven't had any issues coming back. No feedback coming back that the hinges have slipped off. If you have an oversized panel that requires 3 hinges and you only put in 2, well, that's on you, because I've seen that before. They always pull out from the top. Maybe a 42, 84, you need 3 or 4 hinges on something like that. But I haven't had any feedback on that.
All right, one more question. Vitor has a question. What is it, bro?
Hey, how are you guys? Very quick. Yeah, we're running out of time. So once we are applying the diamond seal with the microfiber cloth, that cloth is gonna be sealed at a certain point. So should I just throw away, and every time that I'm applying, I use a new one, like one microfiber cloth for a day, or can I wash it and reuse it?
You can wash it. The microfiber cloth itself will last up to 300 washes. Our microfiber cloths are 1 gram is equal to 11,800 yards of thread. 1 gram, 11,800 yards of thread. Our products, our blue wash was actually designed around the microfiber technology. When you use this with a microfiber cloth, your cloth doesn't bind up in your hand like it does with other cleaning products. But if you're talking about the trowel, putting the Diamondized XP on here, and maybe the liquid diamonds, you're going to probably, depending on how many doors you're doing, you're probably going to get 50 to 100 doors, possibly more. But these just Velcro off, and then you just throw another one on. And they're not that expensive, But you can wash these too. The staining will never come out, though. If it starts to stain or look dark, you're never going to get that out. But the cloth is still good.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Well, hey, James, thanks so much for coming on. I mean, that was awesome. I think you covered a lot of territory there. And I posted your website in the chat there. It's just diamondsealsystems.com. So it's diamond with a D, Diamond Seal Systems.
I want to say one other thing. I want to introduce you my boy here. This is
okay.
This is Spencer Aiken. Nice to meet you.
Spencer.
We put him into sales. We have my 3 sons, my wife, my brother's wife, and my other 2 brothers. This is a family business, and we're very tight knit. We hold all our products proprietary. Nobody has these developments but you. We give them to you. Definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, great. Hey, you heard it here first.
You got it.
So thanks again for coming on, and thanks everybody for showing up. It's always fun. We will be back again next week with more fun and surprises. So tell all your friends, and we'll see you next week.